let's try out a new service out there called the Visual Regression Testing Service. So if I finally close all of these, create a new folder. And we're going to try out the Visual Regression Service, which is mentioned in the developer guide under services. There's visual regression. And let's just run through this little thing right here. We need to get WebdriverIO set up. So that means I need to get a terminal all loaded and everything. So give me a second while I get that loaded. Recording. There we go. Okay, here's my terminal, and I'm gonna go to the new folder that I set up, which is called Visual Regression Service. Clear that out. I'm gonna initialize my folder in npm, and then this is gonna be a problem that I named it this because when I try and install it, it's gonna say that I can't because it's the exact same name. So I need to go into my package.json and change that to be not visual regression service. I'll just call it test, and that's all I got to do is just change it from the name of the module I want to install. And I'll keep that open because I'll get back to that in a minute, but I'm going to go through the normal npm install. I'll save these, and I'm going to install WebdriverIO. And then while we're at it, I'll go ahead and install the Visual Regression Service too. They mentioned doing save dev. I could do save dev too if I wanted to, but I don't need to right now. So I'll just go with saving it, and it'll get thrown into our package.json. While that's loading, I'll go through and make my test statement. So that's going to be WebdriverIO. I'm just going to call it like that. And then once this is run, we're going to set up WebdriverIO. So this is kind of the basic stuff. You've probably have seen this all before if you're familiar with WebdriverIO. If not, this is kind of the basics of how I would get a service set up. Or sorry, not a service, but a set of tests set up. I'm going to run npm tests, which is going to run the scripts test. I want to test on my local machine using Mocha, and we'll just stick with that. I do want to use, I guess, the spec reporter, and then I want to include Selenium standalone because that's awesome, and visual regression as well as part of my services. And there's a difference between a service and a plugin. Services don't add commands, I don't think. Maybe. Plugins do. Let's test the WebdriverIO website and let this all get installed. So this is creating our WebdriverIO configuration file for us to run later on. And let's see how we got it set up. Okay, so that's set up. Let's go ahead and open that. There you see it's updated our package.json with our dev dependencies. Oh, it's funny, I guess that -s didn't work when I saved WebdriverIO. So, oh well, that happens. That's set up. Our configuration file is made. We need to create this folder. So in here, I'll go ahead and create a new folder. Let's see what that does. Oh wow, I didn't think that would work like that. Just gotta get rid of that. Open up the test folder and a new folder called specs, and that's where my test files are going. I want to test in Chrome because Firefox is weird. See if I want to change anything else. That's just going to load that page. Nothing crazy here. Here's the visual regression service that we were going to try out. Nothing else. Nothing else to go with. So let's create our first test. I'm going to edit the specs, and I'll just call it header.js. And you know, I'm testing this on the WebdriverIO website, but I'm not going to be able to change it. I guess I can. Anyway, describe homepage. I need like a Sublime Text plugin that automatically corrects function when I misspell it. That would be cool. This is your basic visual regression testing. If you're not familiar with visual regression testing, I guess I haven't explained it. It takes a screenshot of the element that you're testing on, and then it will compare it to a previous screenshot and let you know what's going on there. So I think it should look good. And what I'm going to do is, before each of my tests, I'm going to load my URL. So just load the home page. That's all I really care about. And then in here, I'm going to use this visual regression service. But I need to get back into the actual tutorial for how to do this because I've skipped like a ton of steps. You need to set some stuff up in your configuration file in order to get this working. And that is just basically a copy paste. They already have an example of what's going on there. So you load the visual regression testing library, you have a comparison. This is just a way to get a longer name for your screenshot. So it includes the test that you're currently running, the type, I don't know what that is. I guess it's the type of test, the browser name, and then the version you're on, and saves it as a PNG. One thing else I guess they could add to this is probably the width, but I think that might actually get added automatically. And then in here, I guess this is just a totally new section that they added. Let's paste that in. So here it's going to run what type of comparison we want, the paths to the files, what to save the diff file as, and then our mismatch tolerance. I'm not going to take a picture of that many screenshots because that takes a while, and I'll only take landscape as my orientation, and then I don't want to wait as long for my viewport change. Okay, that's a lot of setup stuff behind the scenes. There's some options here that we can talk about, but I kind of want to skip past this. I'm just kind of reading into it and seeing what everything does. So what we want to use is check element, and we're going to pass in the element selector and any options we have. So in here, we'll go to browser.checkElement. And then we need our selector. So let's load the home page because that's the page we're on. And then I'll just select this header element, kind of that nav bar. So that's just a class of main nav. And no options or anything. I just want to see if I can get this to run. So let's run our test and see if I skipped past anything important. Okay, loading the file. It's going to take the screenshot so it gets the right size. So it takes 2 different screenshots. That's good. And I should have some new images in screenshot/reference. So let's see about that. There's my specs folder. There's my screenshots folder. Hey, that worked out fairly surprisingly well. So the name of my test, what type of, okay, so that's where the type was. Here I'm checking an element, and you can't, well, you can see it, but here's the type, the browser, and then the version number. And so there is reference screen diff. What is up with that diff? And then screen. So I should have multiple ones here. Let's see where screen comes from. So screenshot name is in the screen folder. Reference name is in the reference folder. And then diff name is over here. So it's kind of strange that this image Well, it took the image, but let's just run this test again and see. I don't feel like this took the right screenshot. There's the one, and then we go wide. So it takes 2 screenshots. It says it's passing. That's good. There's that one, and there's the diff. So I'm guessing this diff is between this and this, but because I'm trying to run this in 2 different widths, it's messing up. So what if I just get rid of that? Let's just get rid of that and try running it again. And let's see what came from there. Okay, so that's my screenshot. That's my reference, and that's my diff. I'm gonna get rid of this and run it one more time. I don't know what's going on. This is always so confusing, and it could be one of a million different things. So what are you gonna do? Reference and screenshot. Okay, there's my reference. There's the screenshot. Okay, so those worked correctly. Now I want to check that it breaks. If I go to the developer guide, no. I was just trying to see if there's a way that I can. Let's see. Okay, on the contribute, this little section is gone. That would be really good to try out. So I'm going to go to contribute.html page, and let's see if it catches this error. So I'm going to run this. Normally you would be testing the same page, but I just need a way to make it break. So I'm going to test a different page. So there it loaded the page, and it still says that it's passing. Let's see if it came up with a diff, though. It did come up with a diff, and there you can see that's what's missing. So here's the reference, and then there's the latest screenshot, and then there's the diff showing what's missing from that screenshot. So that's good that it passed. I really would like it to actually fail my test. So maybe something comes back from browser.checkelement that I can use. Let's see, element screenshot is not what we want. This. And let's see, mismatch tolerance, viewport change. All of these. They have an actual example here. So maybe in here, I'll drop the size of that text down. Under test, they've got the report. Okay. Assert diff on the report. So it looks like browser.checkelement is going to return something, and we need to do something with that. That's pretty cool. So I'm going to do like a let report equals, and then let's just log out that report, and let's see if this actually lets me do it, because I used a let, and sometimes it gets kind of pissy when you use a let but you don't use strict. It's annoying, but it seems to be working just fine. Okay, so I do have a report. It's not within the mismatch tolerance. It has a high mismatch percentage. It's not the exact same image, but it is the same dimensions. So we can use this to do some assertions. So if I wanted to, I could require chai. So let's install that. Save dev chai. Chai is an assertion library for doing tests. So you'll see what that does if you're not familiar with that. So I'm going to let chai equals, and I'm actually going to do this. Let expect equals required chai. And then I'm going to basically take what they have in this example. Because this is an array, we need to look through each of our arrays. So I'm going to call this expect good things. And then these are the results. And for each of my results, I'm going to expect this exact same image to be true. And then if that isn't true, then it should fail the test. So basically I have an array here. I pass that into my function. That function loops through the array, and for each result, it checks the is exact same image and checks to see if it's true. And if it's not, it should fail. So now I should have a failing test when I run this. I did. Expected false to be true. I'm hesitating because this isn't that great of an error message. I wish I could, like in here, you can pass in image isn't the same and escape that. So now instead of just run it again to show you what that does. Basically, you're passing an error message to reply. Yeah. Image isn't the same, expected false to be true. And we could actually get like the index in here. So IDX, for each will take a second argument. That's the index of the array that you're on. And so image plus that isn't the same. So this is going to give you what image is not the same. So if you took multiple images, like if you had very different widths, it would report different images. And or I guess if you had multiple elements on the page, it would do the same thing. So if I run this one more time, I'll show you what that does. Yeah, image 0 isn't the same, expected false to be true. So that's how that works. And then again, if we come back here, we've got the same thing going on. Our images are the same. If you wanted to just like do that, it'll delete the screenshot directory. It's going to pass now because it doesn't have a reference. At least I assume it's going to pass now. Yeah. And then if I run it again after that, it's going to pass again because the reference has been updated to include the missing. I don't know if it's actually missing or it's just not there. That search box. So that's that. So that is the visual regression service. I'll probably play around with it a lot more in the future, but I kind of want to stop right now because I'm getting kind of hungry and want to go on. But there's a lot of configuration that you can do to set things up. Something was up with my widths when it was taking the pictures. I don't know, maybe the widths and the orientations, the fact that I only had one orientation, maybe that messed things up. But there's my widths. I guess I could try like a different set of widths outside of in my configuration file. Yeah, let's try that out. It's kind of, I don't know, weird that, well, hold on. I need to actually finish widths there. I was going to say it's weird that with visual regression testing in general, when you have a set of baselines here, oops, screen, sorry, when you have a set of baselines, you kind of have to delete those baselines anytime you make an update, which is kind of annoying because you have to do something extra, and I don't like doing extra things. But I think in my configuration file, when I get this screenshot name, get screenshot name, that's the one that's all the way up here. I could add the width in here somehow. I could get like the browser screen width, maybe. Image isn't exactly the same. So let's see what I have. I think what's happening is that, yeah, when it's taking those screenshots, it takes the smaller size first. This is what's going on. It's taking the smaller size first, saving that as the reference, and then it takes a larger size, and that's the exact same file name, so it's looking for that. So that's what's going on there. I figured it out. So what I need to do is get the browser width. So variable browser width, and I need to add that in to my test. So how do I get that? I go into usage and then browser object. Let's see what we have. Browser.options, browser desired. It might be under desired capabilities. I think I'm just gonna have to console log that out. Yeah. I'll try screen width. It's not gonna work. So I'm gonna log out my browser width and let this test kind of blow up. Bad things may happen, but bad things happen no matter what. You know, it's your moment of zen. Okay, we should get our log out here at some point. Undefined, 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 undefined. That's frustrating because I didn't even do it right. Oh man. That's what I wanted to do. Let's try that again. That was dumb. You can see it's probably even going to say undefined in here. Oh, no, it's not. Okay, so in here we get our name, our version, our user agent. I don't see anything about screen width. So we're gonna have to look elsewhere for the screen width. So there's our context. Oof. I guess I'll log out the entire context. And then I'm also going to try logging out browser, which is a global in your test that sometimes has information. Well, it has information. I just don't know if it's available in this function. I don't know if it's getting passed into it or if it's in that area. There we go. Well, okay. Type element browser. Title, URL width. Hey, there we go. That's under meta. This is the browser. Browser desired capabilities. Okay. I can go context.meta. Meta. Dot width is probably what I want. And that's going to be the browser width. And then in here, I need version blah, and then $. I'll pass in the browser width. That way it creates different images. So I can run this. I don't have to delete my files, but they will still be there. So I am going to want to delete them, the existing screenshots. But because it should be a new file name, it should just completely ignore those old stuff. And it does. And there's my browser width. So that's cool. Oops, I want to delete that one. I want to delete that one. Okay, and then if I go in here and change this back, I'm going to take a look at these screenshots. So there's my different widths. I can get rid of that one and that one. So that's my large width, my small width, and then my large width and my small width. So one of these is going to fail because, well, before I say that so certainly, I'm going to go back, and then I'm going to reduce the size of this. Okay, so that this kind of stuff drops down, which I don't know if that's intended or not, but that could just be a weird bug. What is important is that when it takes a screenshot, it's probably not going to take all of that. I don't think so. So what I'm trying to say is that it's not going to fail on the lower screen widths. Yeah, it's not going to fail on the lower screen widths, but it is going to fail on the larger screen widths. So I've made my change in my test to test the home page again, which does have the search bar. I'm going to run this, and we'll see how it fails. So it takes the screenshots, and then it runs through the test. So that's good. It took all my screenshots first. I was kind of a little afraid that it wouldn't take my screenshots. So these are the new ones. That one's good. That one is not. So if we go in here, oh, that one's actually a bit different. I guess just because of the way the background is set up. Let's see, that and that. You really can't tell. I wonder what it's picking up there that causes all of this craziness, because that's a lot of craziness. Anyway, image 1 isn't the same. It would be nice if we could get a better error message here. I think, I don't know, it depends on what comes in results. Well, we already did see what's in results. Anyway, that's all future stuff. I get myself distracted so easily. But okay, so now I can take the widths. The important thing was that I needed to get this browser width in there. I might actually submit an update to the docs. Actually, let's go ahead and do that right now. Show you how to, little bonus coverage here. Show you how to improve documents. So, or at least try to. I'm gonna go back to the visual regression service. Oh, and that's weird. Very strange. Let's see. So I can do that one, but that one doesn't let me. So I'll just go in and we'll figure out why that doesn't let me do that. Guide. So there is a guide. I wonder where it gets these from. That's the guide. So I do need to go into the guide. There's my services and my visual regression testing. So this is the one that it should be editing. And if I hit edit, I have to be signed in. That's fine. But if I hit improve this doc, whoops, I'm gonna open that up. Improve this document. So, oh man, master docs guide services visual regression. I wonder if it's this %20 that it's freaking out. Yeah, because it should be a dash instead of a %20. So that's another thing to look into. So I'm guessing if I went to Selenium standalone, it's going to have the same issue. No, it doesn't have the same issue. It uses a dash. That's good. How about this one? This one it does. And if I go back to my services, there's going to be a dash in there. So that's another small little bug. I'm going to try not to spend too much time. I do want to look at Selenium standalone because okay, so the name needs to be updated. Name Selenium -standalone versus in things like Firefox profile and such, the name is just Firefox space profile. Okay, so we got a couple updates to make. Let's go ahead and make those updates. So I need to sign in. So I'm going to sign in. You can see my GitHub password, and not my GitHub password. Hopefully That would be very bad if you saw that. And then I got a little authentication code that I got to verify. I'm going to do this on the other screen because I don't know. Always safer to be, what's the word? Paranoid? Yeah, it's always safer to be paranoid. Okay. Got that in place. So I want to update this. I'm going to go ahead and fork all of this. I actually already have this. And I want to base fork, switch the base. I basically need a rebase. I wish it was easier. Okay, so base fork, head fork. What's this going to create a pull request to? So I just want to get all of this crazy stuff in place. Yeah, open a pull request there. Rebase. Okay, so we'll go back here and double check that it's up to date. One commit ahead. I was afraid of that. So what happened when I committed in, it pulled this merge request in. So the other way to do this is just to delete your repository. I'm sure there's a better way, but for me, I'm just going to delete the repository. I'm going to jump back into WebdriverIO Firefox profile. I'm going to edit this one, and when I go to edit it, I will add that, and then add dash to Firefox profile name. I don't know if I want to do this on this one. I don't, because I really need to test this and make sure that it actually works. I just want to do one simple thing here, which is update this. So yeah, you should always make sure that you be good and test your stuff. And I don't want to spend time testing all of this right now. I do want to actually test it, but I don't want to spend time doing it right now. What I do want to do is add this in. And I wonder what happens here. Ooh, speaking of testing your stuff, if I don't pass in widths, what is it going to do as far as the name goes? So let's try that out. So it's going to take the screenshots. Should pass. The question is, what did it save it as? Okay, so it does fall back to whatever width it's at, which is really good. I was a little afraid that this wasn't going to be defined, and then it wouldn't, like, it would just be underscore nothing, and that wouldn't be too great. You still would want that. So that's good, and I'm going to go forward with adding this change, that, and then here I'll throw that at the end, and then yeah, that's all it. And then update visual regression, so add screen width to visual regression service example code. Visual regression example. Void in where file names to override. Okay, so it did create me a new WebdriverIO thing. Here are my two changes. Basically do that. I think that's all that I had done to make that work, right? Yeah. Okay, I'll go ahead and create that. Propose changes, add extra section to visual. X on docs. And yes, I have done this because I have contributed before, and I have not because there really aren't any tests to add. And I have added the appropriate documentation because that is it. I can just delete that and yeah, create that pull request, and there it is. So that's that. Hopefully this will be in whenever, maybe, I don't know. You'll see it. You'll see it if it is. I'm probably gonna have to go in and create another pull request for the dash in the name, just to fix that, improve this doc. I wonder if it's only there or if it's elsewhere that name is used, but I'd have to look through the documentation. But anyway, that's how you edit documentation on WebdriverIO. They have it all throughout. You can edit these and add a bunch of examples and stuff like that. I didn't actually talk too much about like what the documentation works and how it all relates to the site itself. But yeah, everything inside of the commands and all this, it gets built into this documentation site, which is really cool. And yeah, you can make some pretty cool updates to this if you'd like. One thing that I got added was this little thing right here, that little pound sign. That allows us to link to certain sections, which is really helpful if you need to show somebody like, hey, go to the developer guide under test runner frameworks and you want to like look at using Mocha. You can actually just link to that section and then send somebody that link. So that's that. So I'm going to stop my stream now, and thank you for watching. Feel free to leave me any questions you have, and I'll try to be back on next week. Thanks.